Sacrifice. It is your red Protoss from Korea. His name is NightMare.
And in the bottom left side, we have the Australian Terran player. It is Azure.
All right.
I feel like this is a name where my Dutch accent might start to show suddenly. Azure.
This is definitely one where I feel like I've heard Azure's name somewhere. I can't quite place it, but I'm excited to see this because obviously NightMare, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is one of those players that I especially am looking out for to see if he can do well. I expect that this is a group that he can top, that he can get first place in. That is my that's my call. I'm saying it. I think that that's definitely a possibility if you're looking at that group. I mean, obviously Kellezer, Silky, it's not easy. You know, that is some difficult players, but there is a possibility. And obviously wins this, he's going to go up against that winner of Kellezer versus Silky. And as for Azure, hey, this is not the easiest first opponent. NightMare has kind of been consistently improving. If you're looking at it, he started to make it into GSL group stages a bit more consistently, started to get wins in a few games against the other top level Korean players. And if you're looking at something like the WTL, he has actually had some amazing results in the WTL, being able to take out or at least go 1-1 with some players.
Okay. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, he's going to have to show something here, right, in the group that he's in. As you said, it can be rather difficult. Now, NightMare is anticipating seemingly some sort of a proxy of sorts. So far, nothing coming of it just quite yet, although there is now an SEV going across. So that could still be a starport coming up with the potential for flying that factory over to the reactor as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think Reactored Hellions here, dropping it in the main, is definitely a really good idea. And to give you an idea, for those wondering, why did I say, hey, NightMare has a good chance of advancing? Well, on Team GP, of course, in the WTL, some of his results have been pretty impressive. 2-0 over Kellezer before in that matchup. 2-0 over Joon in that matchup. And then you're looking at other ones, 1-1 with Vindicta, went 1-1 with Scarlet. So there's a lot of potential for NightMare. I think we've been starting to see that recently. And for Azure, you know, kind of an unknown here, but I like how you open up this build. Obviously, the Reactored Hellions, get these out on the starport. It's a really fast drop into the main, and this can just be a way to try and disrupt your opponent. You try and slow them down, get their momentum, just stop any of that from building. Now, I have to feel like NightMare probably expects this. You see Reactored Hellions coming out at the top of the ramp. Usually, you're not going to be going for 2 Hellions at a time off of a regular TVP opening.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels weird if you try to get in between, right? In a sense, where it just because the Protoss will always have a fair set of units, so I always prefer having at least the starports across the map in this way, where it is just gonna hit as hard as it can. Now, it does leave you open a little bit more vulnerable back at home, of course. If your starports get spotted there, you do need to fly it back at some point, preferably. That's the one downside.
Just 2 Stalkers. Yeah, I mean, the Stalkers are going to find first contact here. They're actually in a really nice position here for NightMare. Hellions being unloaded. They will manage to get all out. Shield battery is here, but that's not going to be able to stop the one-shot on the probes. First Hellion goes down, but still they can start to find this damage. It's ramping up. A great shot there from Azure. 8 probes going down in total. NightMare extremely late with that probe pull, as 10 probes end up going down. Sure, you're going to clean up all of these Hellions, but in total, that's only, I mean, that's not that a massive investment for Azure. The only big investment is loading back to the starport, and that's absolutely worthwhile for getting 10 probes. I mean, 12 probes.
Yeah, there was another attack coming into the main base, right? Or the natural base, sorry. 2 Hellions and a Reaper. They managed to pick off 2 more probes, but a shield battery there to kind of defend it. The rest of those fellas, those little robots. And there is a counter-attack coming across the map, however. 18 army supplies strong here, as there is 5 Stalkers with an adapt now on top of a bunker that desperately needs repair. Alright, he's going to be able to get there, right?
There's no blink here for NightMare. I mean, he already loses another Stalker. 2 of them going down already. There's a tank out. That's going to be able to focus down the rest of the Stalkers. You're looking for worker damage, but NightMare might just be losing everything. A great body block there on the attempt by Azure. And so far, a good start here for the Terran. I think the one issue for Azure is he has got a lot of SCVs to make this happen right now, only sitting at 30 to the 41 probes of NightMare. Even with all that damage, you're still looking at a Terran who has not been able to really produce any, I think, significant lead off of this. He's only just now getting up his additional barracks. And, I mean, the starport has finally landed, but that stim and combat shields, they're going to be very late.
Twilight Council also now coming up with a third base here for NightMare, so I'm not anticipating too much aggression for a couple of minutes here. Not until that Wall Prism is out, and even then, with just the Wall Prism, probably just kind of want to stick back, wait for the potential move out of the Terran. To kind of come in afterwards of that, but on the other side, we're kind of at a point where Azure is going to have to make the choice on whether or not he wants to go for that third base or wants to more heavily try to make a push happen off of the 2 base here.
Yeah, I mean, you have Raven coming down, stim, combat shields. Engineering Bay is also here. It's, again, it's a little bit, I think, delayed compared to what you want here as the Terran. Ideally, if you're going for this kind of a push, that +1, you want it to be done with stim and combat shields if you're looking for that attack. I think without that upgrade, it makes it very hard for Azure to really try and push that hard. And so we might just see that third base come down. You know, he's going to have a very strong army. Raven helps to clear up the Oracle or the Observer there. NightMare does have a Warp Prism out with 4 Stalkers. This can just try and distract and delay the Terran. Find some worker damage. Of course, it's enough to one-shot these probes. There's a tank already here, though. So you get 1 SCV so far and just going to back on up. I mean, NightMare is just trying to keep Azure back. He's trying to keep tabs on what's happening. And now he knows, hey, listen, you have tanks, you have Ravens. This is one of these very tech-heavy versions of this opening. So what is going to come off the back of this is obviously going to be a tank push.
Yep. And NightMare is starting to get ready with 5 gateways about to hit the production line. Charge has been upgraded as well before Blink here, so he's going to have a formidable amount of zealots to kind of run on top of those marines and the siege tanks hopefully as well, doing some splash damage there. Storm is going to be ready, so it feels like the tools are going to be in NightMare's hand, but he's also taking a 4th base here, Titan. That, I don't know if that, I like that choice. All right, 3rd base for Azure as well, so all right.
I mean, the Terran does need to get on the map. This is the timing that you look at for most Terrans where you see them start to try and get aggressive on the map, where you see them start to apply pressure, just because when you're taking this 3rd base, this is also when the Protoss is looking to explode in their economy. This is where if you give up pressure, they're going to take a 4th, they're going to take a 5th, they're going to get their upgrades up, and it makes it very hard for you to really have any leeway in this game to mess up an engagement. So Azure is going to move out. He's at 70 army supply. It's a strong army. +1 is finished. He has every single upgrade for his bio. Concussive Shell is also done. It's going to make this a very, very strong fighting army for Azure, but look at this storm drops for NightMare. Just has them in this Warp Prism, is trying to keep tabs on where this army is going to look for a massive collapse here. And, I mean, I don't know if Azure is going to be ready. He doesn't have his unit split. I don't know if he knows. Oh, my God. That's a bad misclick there for Azure. Oh, the storms are just disgusting.
Yeah, those storms were absolutely terrible there for Azure, as he is now going to have to try and, well, move back home with such a Protoss army on his doorstep that you have to wonder about the safety of the men at home here. Another siege tank about to be ready, but the anti-armor missile about to run out as well. SCV is definitely going to have to get pulled, but is there more storm available in that Warp Prism already?
I mean, it's hard to say. I didn't quite get to check the energy on those High Templar, the NightMare. I mean, obviously, he can even use this for more uses. He can storm drop if he so desires. Right now, he knows he has a contain on Azure. 140 supply now swinging here for the Protoss, and you just see those slight delays. Like, if you're not exactly on time, it just means that the Protoss can get such a massive army, such a massive advantage from not really a lot, and then all it takes is those storms landing. And Azure is in a really rough spot. I mean, he finds a good trade there. He is adding on his tanks. He's pushing them forward, and that is going to be very, very helpful to get them onto this ledge, onto this high ground, especially start to chip away at these units for NightMare. But the command center going down, I mean, That would be pretty bad, and it's now burning. SCV's need to be pulled, but it's sniped NightMare.
Man,
just trying to make this game harder.
Here from NightMare, just with the Whoppers and the High Templar up there on the top, waiting for the bio to stim down, trying to protect the orbital. And bam, there was a storm right when they started to stim downwards. Very well played by NightMare. Lovely positioning and making the best out of what was already quite a dominating looking position.
Yeah, it's double Colossus behind this as well. Chrono Boost on the 1-1. He's going in, another massive storm onto the bio. There's no ghost, there's nothing here to try and stop it. No Widow Mines to stop the Zealots from getting on top of the tanks, and NightMare a commanding game 1. I mean, it felt like a great start for Azure, but if you wait that long, then yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, couldn't quite get it all lined up perfectly for him. You know, you do start to second guess yourself here and there a little bit when you are coming into the bigger stages of things. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate there for the first game. We're going to be going into game number 2. Let us take a look-see. Where is this being played? Data C. Alright. We left the lobby. Never mind. Never mind. Maybe something else.
Yeah, I think they probably a different map. Oh man, yeah, though that was just really well done. I feel like Azure, again, it was a good start. I like the build. I like the build order. I like the build choice. Just unfortunately, not really able to turn it into a solid lead, as NightMare just found the fight, found the engagement, and that's really all it took. Man, I'm excited. I see Steadfast is online. That makes me excited.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright,
let me take a look over here as well.
Here we go. Game 2.
Inside and out. Not Data C.
Inside and out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
We're getting on into it. All right. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Bottom left-hand corner of Inside and Out. He's already up 1-0, and those storm drops, well, they were just simply delicious, delectable, whatever you want to say. From Team GP, it's NightMare.
Top right side, a blue Terran. It is the Australian Azure. You actually double check if he is on that team or not.
I don't believe so. I didn't see team.
Team Opus V, it says.
So,
Opus V.
Opus V. There we go. Learning new things every day.
Exactly.
But we're on to Inside and Out. This is... How does Inside Out... I'm trying to think about how many PvTs I've seen on this map. And the answer is not a lot. This isn't usually the go-to map that players choose when they want to play a PvT, but it has been picked here. The main reason why I don't think it's picked a lot is because you see these massive choke points on the bridges. And for a Terran player, any map that has big choke points that has a ramp up into every single base is just not really a map that I think you want to play on that much. Storms are very powerful. Splash damage, obviously very, very powerful, as we are getting an engineering bay block here from Azure. NightMare pulls the probes very, very quickly, so he's going to be able to deal with that. But this is just trying to be annoying. It's trying to say, hey, listen, you got to go Cyberport first. But NightMare's not too upset with this. He's going to be able to get down his next good time anyway. And yeah, I'm excited to see what Azure brings out for his second build. Because again, I really like that opening in game 1. I feel like that was... just a really good opening choice, and it got a lot of damage done. It's just it didn't end up really having that much of an effect on the game overall, because I think the choice of follow-up was too slow for Azure. Obviously, tanks and ravens, it's a very safe option. It's very, very good if you want to... Oh, this is... I don't think that bunker's going to go up. Yeah, bunker gets sniped. That's a bit annoying here for Azure. But, hey, you can just cancel that. It's not too bad. But I think with the tanks and the ravens, it just slows down that push so much that the worker damage that he got really was not substantial enough to slow down NightMare. We saw that NightMare still got his upgrades. Storm was up by the time the push came, and Azure wasn't able to set up. And so that is a situation where either you have to commit to, hey, I want to macro up So I'm just going to play this safe and have light pressure across the map, or I'm going to commit to that 2-base pressure out of my 3rd base much later.
Yeah, I mean, he did open up with the nice attack with the Hellions, right? He got a fair bit of damage dealt. It's a shame the other attack didn't quite have the punch into the natural base as he may have wanted to because of the shield battery. Otherwise, that game could have been quite different as well.
Bit of poke here, Adept.
There we go. I'm sorry. I think it was muted for you, but not for the stream.
Oh,
my bad. But yeah, anyway, I just explained as to kind of the Hellion attack, right? It seemed like it did quite a bit, but then it just kind of fell short. Maybe 12 proc just wasn't quite enough for maybe the attack there.
Ooh.
Like you said, just a little bit late. Couldn't quite make the opportunity happen.
Yeah. As this is just a really nice, a little bit of poking here from NightMare. I mean, Widowmine, actually, that's a big connection there. That burrowed our vision, so a bit annoying losing the Stalker. That really means you can't keep pushing here as NightMare. But behind this, what is going on? Well, it's going to be a 4-gate. This is your classic. This is your tried and true blink pressure to try and find damage. I mean, yeah, this should do a lot. I am actually a bit nervous for Azure because that second barracks is being placed down on the outside of the base. So if he puts his tech lab there, or if he puts his tech lab on where this first barracks is, you know, that's going to be really dangerous because if that gets sniped by the Stalkers, that's where you start to see the Protoss really snowball these games. I mean, you're thinking back to when Parting used to do this build a lot. Sniping Stim was crucial, as this Observer as well is also going to see the drop, and everything just not really going Azure's way in this game number 2.
Already warping in another Stalker there. The Warp Prism is going to go nearby as well, so he's going to be able to ferry across that cavern as well if he really wants to chase down this medevac. Does he? Okay, he sits back a little bit. Just going to start sending them across instead, like you said. Now, I did see some tech labs going up above those barracks, so maybe he's going to try to switch that for the Stim Pack, right? Up there with the starports. That would make sense to me as well. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully that's going to secure that upgrade there a little bit. We do have Blink available. 4 more Stalkers warped in, as 6 of them already available here. And this is rough. That is very rough. The Siege Tank quite far out of position. Not a second one on the way. The Raven could potentially get sniped immediately as well.
I mean, it stays alive, but yeah, I mean, just not having the tank on the high ground here is really rough here for Azure. The tank not going down, though, for quite a while is good. And then behind this, actually, 8 probes went down. The Widowmine drop flew back in, managed to find damage. The Widowmines are actually just walking out. They aren't even getting picked up. They're waddling back across the map. But if Azure is able to hold, that's actually massive because now he's on an even worker count, but the tank was sniped. There's not a second tank that's going to be out. And Azure, he doesn't want to fight it. Just taps out GG, and that is going to be NightMare picking up the quick 2-0.
Yeah,